Dueling top 25 for the New York Jets going into Combine Week. Kev, what's up, man? How you doing tonight?
I'm ready. I'm ready for the combine. I want to see Arvo Reese's freakish Raz score. I want to see my guy Ruben Baines, 6.5-inch arms break the internet. I'm ready for all things. Ty Simpson discourse. I'm sure there will just be normal, moderate takes only about him. So let's do it, man.
Yeah, it is going to be crazy. And that was going to be my first question to you is who are you specifically looking at the Combine? We got news today that Love is going to participate in drills. Arvell Reese, like you just mentioned, is going to participate. And then Ty Simpson is going to throw. Fernando's going to wait till his pro day, but how do you feel? Like, who are you looking at specifically outside of like maybe those like top guys? Is there a guy like specifically you want to see?
Um, I'm Well, I am curious to see not just Ty Simpson throwing, but I am kind of just how much he weighs because like
Yes.
I don't think you can draft a quarterback in the first round who's like under or right at 200 pounds, like
Mm-hmm.
unless you're a crazy athlete. So that's one. Obviously, Baines, arm length, Peter Wood's arm length because he's got the
Mm-hmm.
stubby arms as well. And then I really am interested to see who's gonna set who's the receiver that's gonna just blaze it up and boost their at least their online or us mock draft bro stock. I don't know how much GMs will care, but Casey Conception is a guy who I think if he touches 4.35, 4.36,
Mm-hmm.
could be exciting. But I really like the second tier of edge rushers. The more I get into them,
Mm-hmm.
starting with TJ Parker and Mesidor into Zion Young and get like the bigger guys. I'm not so much like R. Mason Thomas or Howell because I feel like if you want that, just take Bailey at 2. Like if you're really chasing
Mm-hmm.
that, but I think if the Jets do go, if they want to get a little throw a curveball at us at pick number 2 and go like wide receiver, I kind of like the edge crop that they could turn around and get in the mid first round. So I kind of want to see some of those guys' agility numbers because the 3 cone for edge rushers is one of the few combine numbers that actually does have some pretty significant correlation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the one position that I'm looking at, and I think you're spot on with your edge in that second tier. I'm like really coming around to okay, let's go offense and then take a second tier edge guy because maybe not necessarily taking an edge at 2 is the bad play, but what is the correlation of what the play is at 16
Yeah.
and how does that affect everything else? So I do like the second tier edges, but the guy that I'm looking at specifically, and I think there's a bit of a difference. Yeah, 10 spot difference in our top 25s, and that's
Okay.
Emmanuel McNeil Warren. I'm really excited to see like what his actual measurements are. Like I was a huge Kyle Hamilton, a huge Nicky Manwari fan at the safety position, those long, lengthy safeties. So I'm interested to see how he participates at the drills and like Connor Rogers said it on, I think, Stock Exchange, or maybe it was Sims Unbuttoned. He said, you don't need to run fast, but you can't run slow. And he was one of the guys that he talked about in that category. And I feel like that's
Right.
fine. But as a safety, like, I don't need you to be blazing fast, but are you just fast enough? And I think he's going to do well at all the other things. And if he measures in at like, I think he's 6'3", 3/8 listed. Like, if he comes in close to that, like that's freakish length. So I'm really excited for him as a potential like dark horse at 16. And I think,
Mhm.
our separation is one of the biggest on him. So I'm excited to get into it. So
Am I higher or am I lower?
you're lower.
Okay. I have not watched a ton of him.
Mhm.
So I could speak pretty much to like my top. Once you get to like to where I have TJ Parker, Mez, or like 15, 16, those guys I probably have
Yeah.
a 4 or 5 game sample on.
Mhm.
But EMW, yeah, I mean Daniel Jeremiah just came out with his big board today. I think he had him at 15.
Who's that?
So McNeil Warren.
Yeah. Yeah. He was a riser on
So
his board for sure.
yeah, him and then DTereman I think is gonna probably test pretty stupid too. So both of those
Yeah.
safeties I think are gonna go in the first round when it's all said and done.
Yeah. Those are the ones that like are rising into the first round as like guys like Ty Simpson are falling out of the first round in a lot of these mock drafts, which is pretty funny
Yeah.
because normally I would just take a safety at 33 or 44 for the Jets and like come away really happy in my mock drafts. But it's like, okay, now I'm entertaining one at 16. Maybe Thieneman and McNeil Warren is a bit of a reach, but I think that's kind of the fun part about it. When you have so many holes, in a sense, you can use it to your advantage and just take BPA at certain positions, and like they will help you immediately. So
Here's
last
my thing. Here's my thing about that though. Like, if we're gonna take a safety at 16, like, bro, just take Caleb Downs at 2. I get that point. If you're gonna spend a first round pick at safety, you know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
I understand that's not a 1-for-1, but
I can see it though, because like we said, the play at 16 is more like open, and you could take an edge, you could take a D tackle, you can, possibly take a wide receiver. I think Jordan Tyson was his 18th player, DJ, on his board, and I think Omar Cooper was 19. So it's like, we don't know, and there's going to be some volatility there. Like, boards aren't going to be identical across the league, so perhaps somebody does fall. After all this, Mekhi Lemon's not going to be there at 16. Maybe one of the big 3 or big 4 now, depending on how you feel about whoever it is at 4. Cooper, Concepcion, Boston for some people. Like, there's going to be some unpredictability at that position now.
Definitely. I think that Cooper Jr. is the secret is done with him. I think he's definitely going to be a first round pick. So, man, I don't know. You could go so many ways. That's why it's so fun. It's so fun. You can go a lot of different ways. I think at the end of the day, if we're considering Arvell Reese an edge, that's where they're going to go. I think if you're doing, like, if I were betting on it, I would say, like, right now, like, Reese is the favorite, then a gap, then Bailey and Bain together on a second tier, then a gap. And then if they're going to get weird, I think it would be Caleb Downs. And then outside of that, I think now we're talking about like 2-3% chances for the other guys on the pie chart.
I think that's the exact betting odds on FanDuel. That's the latest. It's Reese.
Okay.
And he's in minus money. Bailey is right behind him in like plus like 150 range. And then
Bailey's ahead of Bain.
And then Bain is third. And then I think fourth was Caleb Downs at like plus 5,500. Like, it drops pretty substantially after Bain. So it seems like, it's funny, for as unpredictable as the drafts are, it feels like the Jets, when it comes down to it, whether it's just fans knowing the team very, very well across the board, we just know exactly what positions they're going to take. Maybe they take somebody that's not the name that we were thinking of at that position, but like other than maybe Will McDonald, I feel like we've been able to like snipe out all the Jets positions and picks for like the last 5 or 6 years.
I really thought it was a coin toss last year between whether they were going to go Membu or Warren.
Ooh, okay, yeah.
So like there was like a 60-40. I thought there was a good chance that, and apparently they liked Warren too. Like, I wonder if the Raiders took Membu, if they would have taken Warren or gone to the next offensive lineman.
Yeah, which would have been Kelvin Banks, which he played very well for, I believe, New Orleans, right? So, yeah. I mean, maybe they don't get it wrong again, but the fact that they got Membu at 7 and the Raiders took Genti, I was like, okay. I felt pretty comfortable when we were on the clock it was going to be Membu, but yeah, leading into it, that's a good one. It was pretty 50-50, but like, I didn't feel that way about Olu and Brock Bowers. Like, I felt like pretty strongly, like, if Olu was there, it was going to be Olu.
Yeah, or one of those that offensive line class was so stacked. You just felt like they were going to leave with a tackle.
Yeah, exactly. All right. With that, we're hopping in to, well, first we'll say what's up to everybody. Indy in the chat, Tank for Ty, Mike D's, Billy, Joe Willie. That kind of rhyme. That was funny. Charleston Jets Rube, Jets Jesus. Shout out to you. We're going to use your graphic at the end of this. A fun little like interactive free agency build that we have put together. All right. Top 25 dueling big boards.
Let's do it.
Players 25 through 16 on the board. That's not looking good. Let's do this one.
There we go.
All right. Players 25 to 15. So my rankings are on the left. Kev's rankings are on the right. And then that far right column is differential between my ranking and his ranking. Some of them are not the best math. I did it late last night. But nonetheless, it does show us a bit of like the difference points. And like, we are pretty close on a lot of these. There's a couple that you've watched that I have not, admittedly, at least to a point where I feel comfortable talking about them. And I wanted to start right there, actually, at 25. You have, is it Kristen Miller, the defensive tackle from Georgia? So I haven't seen him. So like, kind of tell me your pitch on him real quick.
Yeah, speaking of, I just want to get into Grayson Halton after this too, because I look at his analytics and I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, you're Aaron Donald, I guess, but what's the catch? But with Miller, he's really a throwback odd front defensive end. And he played a ton of nose tackle, a ton of three tech, and a little bit of out. So I think the pro comp be like a Kenny Clark, a nose tackle skill set in a three tech's body, who would probably be just more of a pocket pusher, who could chip in 2 or 3 sacks and 30 pressures, but really be nails in the run game like pretty immediately. I think he's one of this play strength is probably the best of any of the defensive linemen that I've watched. And if you're talking like, pick 33, just somebody who could go if you're going to go with a 3-4 front and you have him and Briggs on either side of Harrison Phillips. I like that a lot.
Okay. I do like that. And I like when you say the analytics are matching Aaron Donald. Obviously, you're not going to be able to
Yeah.
match him, career for career, obviously, but I feel like what everybody's trying to draft in today's defensive era is somebody that can give you, 65-70% of Aaron Donald, and you feel really good about that. So, okay, I like that about him. I had Ty Simpson at 25. You had him up at 21, and like this is my like Jet specific big board. I have a big board that like includes, like I saw, and I don't want to spoil a lot of things, but you have like a cornerbacks. You have some cornerbacks on your list where I don't have corners in any of my top 25 just because I don't want them to prioritize corner. I know you've made a case where like Aaron Glenn could fall in love with some of these corners, but I don't have some of those guys. I don't have any of my offensive tackles in this. So like it's just a Jets specific one.
I omitted tackles as well, and obviously Mendoza.
Yeah, Mendoza doesn't make it yet.
Yeah, everyone else I put in there.
Right. So this is like Jets specific, and I kind of tiered it off. So like for me, 25 to like 21 is like I would accept it at 16, but it probably feels like a bit of a reach. And Ty Simpson has to be in that bucket for me. So he comes in at 25. He's 21 for you. I think he's going to be a lot higher for people like Daniel Jeremiah has him as player 40 on his updated top 50. I don't think he moved any from his first top 50. So I want to see if maybe he moves a little bit after the combine and see what happens with like medicals and interviews. They said he had gastritis playing at 195 at portions of the season. Now he's up to like 215. So like if he's playing at 215 or like can play at 215, 217, 220, then that's a lot different. And if he's like 6'2 and a quarter and is like 10 9 and an eighth hands, like we can work with that. Obviously it's not the greatest, but like he meets thresholds and we'll see what happens there. But the interview process is going to be really big for him as well. So I have him at 25. We technically both have Sadiq at 24. You had a typo in your article and I had to correct it. So
I had 220s, right?
219s. So the
219s.
The right side column is a little thrown off, but we have Sadiq both Sadiq at 24. And I feel like Sadiq at 24, like it would be kind of like, balls to the wall with offense, but it would actually be pretty fun at the same time if they like happen to come away with a wide receiver at 2 and then Kenyon Sadiq at 16, or even if they just got Kenyon Sadiq at all and not, didn't get a wide receiver, it'd be pretty fun. Like, what are your thoughts on Sadiq?
So, I mean, if they went wide receiver at 2, I would not want them to take Kenyon Sadiq just because it sounds crazy to say as a Jet fan, like to have too many weapons, but I would think there would just be some diminishing returns on how much they could all produce for you. Because if you take like a Carnell Tate, I mean, between him and Garrett Wilson alone, that's going to be like, probably, I mean, it could be close to like 60% of your passing volume right there. Then Mason Taylor, Breece Hall. But Sadiq's, if the Jets did not have Mason Taylor and just had no answer at tight end, I'd be perfectly fine with Sadiq at 16. And I'm not saying that Mason Taylor is a Hall of Famer, but my mentality with this Jets roster, and we'll see how it looks after free agency, is like, if there's something in a roster spot where there's something to work with, and I would include guys like A.J. Thomas, Mason Taylor, Will McDonald. Like if there's something to work with, I'm not itching to replace you because we have so many roster spots where there's legitimately nothing. So, and I think Mason Taylor can be. I think he had I think his blocking was pretty impressive, and he made a lot of really nice contested catches. Now, unfortunately, he runs like 20. He runs like COVID era Jason Witten, so he's just not like much of a yak threat. But Mason's solid. I think Mason can be like an average to above average tight end. So, and then if you take Sadiq, then you're kind of like married to 12 personnel. So I think if you looked back at it, how much production that you got combined between Sadiq and Mason Taylor, you'd be like, do you really need to spend a 16th pick and a top 45 pick to do that? You know,
Yeah.
but Sadiq can play. I like him.
Yeah, I agree. It would give you a different skill set. I know Sadiq can block, but I feel like he's like more of like that slot option as like a pass catcher more so than like a run blocker. Although I did like some of his run blocking reps. I was pretty
On the
impressed.
move though, not in line really. That's the issue.
Yeah, I was gonna say when he's like the puller, he like sprung a guy for a pretty long touchdown that I thought was impressive. But yeah, and people are gonna hate this because I've like said this so many times now. But if you're gonna emulate a team, like emulate the Rams, and they kill it out of 12 and 13 personnel. That doesn't necessarily mean go get a first round tight end to satiate that and get into those personnel and those disguised looks on offense. But it is going to be, important for the Jets to be able to be more, multiple out of 12 personnel, 13 personnel, and be able to pass out of it. So maybe it's not Sadiq, but it would be a fun, worthwhile swing if he was the pick at 16, depending on how the board fell, obviously. Now we have Emmanuel McNeil-Warren for you at 23. I have him not even on this sheet. He's, I think, 9 spots or 10 spots higher for me. So we kind of talked about it a little bit. It really just comes down to length for me and things of that nature. I've only watched 2 games of him, but if he actually comes in at his size and his measurables are fine, I feel like the tape is well worth it at 16. I actually don't feel like it's a reach. I feel like it's pretty like comfortable picking him there as like one of the top 15 to 20 players in this class.
I missed who you said.
McNeil-Warren.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, well, turnovers, right? He definitely does that. Like, I think just watching me watch last year, anybody who could force turnovers is going to be up the board in my mind. So
Yeah.
he's interesting because I think he plays more physical than DTereman, but dude, this kid is skinny, man. He looks like a basketball player. So the only question would be like his play strength, but I love his attitude. I like his length. I think if he can run in the mid 4.5s, like that would give you a nice peace of mind there. But I really am just going off of like I think I had one game of cut ups where I watched him, and all I can say is that I'm like, yeah, he is long and he's fast, but I don't have any. And obviously, guys like Daniel Jeremiah and other people I respect are really damn high on him. And I like the idea of his skill set. I think like a true free safety that that single high safety in cover one. That's a skill set that we've kind of been chasing on this roster for a while. We thought it could be the guy we picked up from Jacksonville last year, Cisco. Obviously, that didn't work out. Tony Adams, obviously, that didn't work out. So you kind of need somebody like that when you're going to run a ton of cover one. And if you could do that at 33, I think that would be awesome.
Yeah, no, I like it. I want to switch over. Now we have 2 wide receivers. I at 22 have Casey Concepcion. You at 17 have Conception. And then at 22, you have Boston. And I at 16, I have Boston. So we pretty much flip-flopped them. You first go with what your difference is between the two because they obviously are very different players. And I'll give my reason as to why I have Boston higher.
So Boston's grown on me, and just in the sense that I'm trying to keep an open mind because I did see somebody pro-comped him to Michael Pittman, and that was kind of a light bulb moment for me because remember Michael Pittman had a lot of the same criticisms on his scouting profile when he came out, and that's why he was bumped to the second round. Because if you watch Boston, how Washington used him it's a tough analysis because he was kind of like an F flex player, almost playing tight end sometimes, a lot of schemed open stuff, some yak opportunities that you're like, is that going to work in the NFL? But he's a big, strong, like physical receiver that does have good contested catch production, really good red zone production. I think he's got 10, I think he's got double-digit touchdowns each of the last 2 years. He does just seem like just stiffer to me. I think a receiver in the mid first round, you'd like somebody whose separation comes easier to them and they're more dynamic with the ball in their hands. But I think stylistically, AD Mitchell as an X and Boston as your Z and Garrett Wilson in the slot, I think works really, really well. And I think somebody where if they're rotating safety help towards Garrett Wilson and you just want to be able to just throw some, I think maybe maybe like Mike Williams too, like just some of those, just that's the play. Like everything else is covered. You just chuck it up to Boston. It could be like a nice security blanket for a team. So I think he does have more bust potential than you'd like, but I think he's also got a chance to be like a a high-end wide receiver 2 if he works out, or a low-end 1.
Yeah, so for me, Conception wins so fast, so
Yeah,
vertically. It's actually so impressive to me. Like it doesn't
crazy.
necessarily like he doesn't face press a lot, and that's kind of what attracts me to Denzel Boston. But Conception, like the way he wins, like up the seam and the corner or the safety, like basically is like, oh, thank God, like he didn't throw it my way, like because he knew he got cooked, and the
Mhm.
for whatever reason, Marcel Reed just wasn't going to be able to get it to him. Like there was one rep where Marcel took out for like a 55-yard touchdown run, and Conception was wide open. And I'm like, okay, it would have looked pretty if you threw it, but I guess it looks just as good for the quarterback if you run it for 55 yards. So I saw a lot of that with Conception. I guess just stylistically, like Boston to me, I like that he played a lot more against press coverage, and he won against press coverage quite a bit in the games that I watched of him. So I was pretty impressed for that reason. Like obviously guys like Conception and Omar Cooper Jr., they're more in the slot, so they're not facing press as often. So I try to look for that because, and I think I've heard you say it before, like you win at the line, at the break point, at the catch point, and then after the catch. So it's like of those four phases, to me, if you can't win off the line in press situations in the NFL, like
Yeah.
you're probably cooked. Like we've seen wide receivers just like
Yeah.
not be able to make it work because they can't get off the line of scrimmage. So Denzel Boston needs to, and I feel like he's able to, but he's not really a great separator. But at the catch point, I think he's pretty good, and he doesn't
Mhm.
necessarily give you a ton of yak, but he's not a terrible yak player. So like it's not like, give me 2.5 of the four phases, and I feel like you have something to work with there. And body type, it does match more like what they want to do opposite of Garrett potentially. So maybe they want to go, a little bit smaller guy like Conception or Cooper, but that's why I had Boston higher.
Yeah, I mean, Conception is electric. Now, Conception does have the least reliable hands of the
Mhm.
receiver options we're going to talk about towards the high end. So, but you look at his drop rate and it's like 10%. But if he dropped like literally one less pass, it would be like in the normal range. So it's like,
Mhm.
are you willing to live with one more drop? Because, and you mentioned the quarterback play was, dude. If Conception was on a just a normal team, like a lot of these other guys, like if he was on Miami or Oregon or Indiana, like a normal the team with a solid starting quarterback, I think he could have led the nation in receiving. Like how much yards were left on the bone for Conception is so
Yeah.
gross. Now, but he left some himself, but how quickly he threatens the second level of a defense is just what that would open up for you for like running digs and crossers underneath it.
Mhm.
It really reminds me of Brandon Cooks coming out of I think he was OSU, but just that not so much like the Zay Flowers or Elijah Morris, who are those size who are more
Mhm.
horizontal, but just that the get off and the long speed to separation is really, really special. And he makes pretty good contested catches for a small guy too.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
Conception's fun, man.
I do like him more as like the Zay Flowers type, not necessarily saying they're a one for one comparison, but there is room for that in an offense for sure.
Mhm.
Um, real quick, 63 of you guys in the room. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. I
Nice.
see you guys really active in the comments. We have something pretty fun for you guys to interact with at the end, building the free agency lineup. But talking draft with Kev, Buffalo Jet fan. All right, last grouping in this one, real quick. We have 3 edge guys apiece in this section. I have Akeem Mesidor, Miami, Keldrick Falk in Auburn, and TJ Parker from Clemson. You have Mesidor, Parker, and Zion Young.
Mhm.
So talk to me about Zion Young. I only saw him at the Senior Bowl, so I have limited exposure. So I didn't just feel like comfortable throwing him on the list, but I do think he is like in that range of like honorable mentions for me. So explain a little bit about Zion Young and then why you like this second tier of edge guys.
Yeah, I like him a lot. Now, let's be clear, you're not going to get the game record that I think you can get with Bailey Reese Bain, but I
Mhm.
think you can get a player who kind of how we felt about like Jermaine Johnson after his like second season, like that kind of edge where you're like, yeah, this guy's going to get 7, 8, 9 sacks and 50 pressures and be good against the run. Like there's some guys like that. And Zion Young, first of all, I think he's the best run defending edge in the class. I think I like his run defense even better than Reese because he's even like just more sets even a more movable edge than Reese, and he's long. He doesn't have Bane's length limitation, so I like his run defense the best, and then the nerd stats back that up. And of all of these types, the Keldrick Falks, the Gabe Yakuses, the 265-pound edge rushers who really don't have a ton of pass rush production. Of all those guys, I think Zion Young has the best chance to give you enough pass rush to go along with the elite run defense to justify being a mid first round pick. So he's got the most juice of all the edge set McGee kind of players because he has like a good awareness. Like he's really good at like as soon as the quarterback breaks contain, he's so quick to disengage and chase. Like that's how he gets a lot of his disruption because he's some offense, some pass rushers that kind of get tangled up with a tackle, and then the quarterback's over here and they're still like duking it out. But he's really savvy, has good awareness, and he's super powerful. So I like Zion Young a lot. He kind of, I think a pro comp could be kind of like the 1 year mercenary version of Jadeveon Clowney.
Ooh,
Like that,
okay.
that kind of player where it's like you're getting an immediate floor of run defense and he's gonna chip in as a pass rusher kind of deal. That's Zion Young. I like Zion Young a lot.
I'm gonna have to immediately start watching him later this week.
Yeah, you're gonna like him.
I liked him at the Senior Bowl, and like you said, I kind of thought he did a little bit of everything in the team periods. Like he was like holding the edge against the run, and sometimes it's not even about like making a play in the run, but if you can set the edge and just like reroute, like that's the one thing that's like with Arvell Reese too. Like you have to be able to just like see that sometimes he doesn't necessarily make the play or get his hand on the ball carrier even, but he reroutes them in a way where like he's turning them into his own, players, and that bottles up the run just as easy. So it's like not a box score stat, but it's something that's really important. So I like that about Zion Young. And I think he is like pretty twitched up as a pass rusher. To me, I have Falk down here, and I see you don't have him. I think we have a pretty slight difference on him. To me, it's a lot of projection, and it's hard to project guys like him because like you don't see all the pass rush moves and everything like that, but he has things you can't coach and can't teach, and the size and the length. And, I want to see what what his play strength is and all that. Like, can he play at the NFL level, like consistently as a 3-down player? That'd be really interesting. And that might change my evaluation of him. So like maybe like seeing him run the hoop and like doing those bag drills and things like that. Like, let me see like your pass rush moves a little bit unleashed at the combine. I know it's like kind of hard to do that, but to me, it's just hard. It's more of a projection. So it's me just like hedging my bet here that like I fell for Shamar Stewart pretty hard last year and I don't want to do it again. So that's Falk for me.
And the issue with Falk is unlike Stewart, he doesn't even have like freakish athleticism. So, but college football is just weird, man. Because I'm watching Falk and they'd have like 3 down linemen, like just like an odd front, but then no on-ball backers. So it's like a 3-2-6 defense. So I'm like, what the hell even is? So he's lined up like on the inside shoulder of the tackle, but is also responsible for edge contain. So I'm like,
yeah.
And he had probably the most amount of like run defense responsibility on his play, like the amount they trusted him to stop the run. But in terms of actually playing edge in the NFL, like I have no idea what the hell that's going to look like. I think he's 28 or 29 for me. Like I think in the pick 33 conversation for me would be Keldrick Falk.
Okay, that's not bad. So like at least we're like in the same like kind of range. I didn't know if I forgot if he was higher or lower on the board. So I just knew he wasn't in this range. So I knew we were pretty different on him, but I didn't. Yeah, I think even DJ was pretty low, and I'm just using his reference because it's very topical. It came out today, but I think he was like in like the low to mid 30s with Keldrick Falk even on his top 50. So like
he's got Peter Woods out of his top 40. So I'm like, oh, I don't know. I might.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I'm like, hopefully that changes.
Are we able to trust DJ here? Like that's kind of crazy. He's losing all credibility now.
Yeah, I think he knows more than us. Yeah, I think he just might.
That's true. All right. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Hit the like button, subscribe. We are talking dueling top 25s with BJF. Moving on to the players 15 to 6 range. Okay. Where we both have Peter Woods because we know what we're looking at, unlike DJ.
Casual.
yeah, 100%. And like I said at the beginning, I kind of prefaced it. I didn't have any cornerbacks. You have 3 in this group. I just want you to get them all out of the way now because I don't have any of them on my list. I did watch. I watched Jermod McCoy and I watched Mansour Delane, but you have to go all the way back to 2024 with Jermod McCoy because the ACL, right? And then Avion Taylor, I have not watched, even though I have watched the front 7 for Clemson. So give me those 2 that we've both seen, and then sell me why Aaron Glenn's going to fall in love with Avion Terrell.
Yeah, so I think Mansour Delane and McCoy are that's probably pretty chalk rankings. Like I think they're both kind of in that 8 to 15 range for most people. Mansour Delane is like he's like Quinyon Mitchell at from a couple years ago, where you're like everyone's like the tape is really good, the stats are insane. I think he has like 40 pass breakups and no penalties and no touchdowns allowed in his career, which is pretty preposterous. McCoy is obviously, I think if he stayed on that trajectory and didn't get hurt, he'd be being talked about as like one of the first position players being taken. So, but I just, dude, if I have no like video footage of you playing football in like 18 months, I just don't think I could have you like in the top 10. You know, it just kind of is what it is. Now Terrell, dude, now this is higher than most people. I love Terrell. First of all, 8 forced fumbles in his career, so he's got the peanut punch down.
Okay.
And he's like 185 pounds, but he's an absolute dog. And he just moves. So he absolutely straps and blankets receivers. Like his ability to flip his hips and chase is so damn good. Now he might get the NFL level. Obviously, is his length. He's going to be tiny, so he'll probably be the smallest guy on the field. Then whenever he steps on it, but I think if there were a corner that Aaron Glenn is going to get the hard eye emojis for, it might be one that reminds him of himself, and Avion Terrell. But yeah, that's probably my I don't think they're going to take a tackle. I think corner would be my least favorite position to take at 16. Even though I'd be like, if they get a great one, like anything else, of course, like Brandon Stevens is going to be gone soon, so fine. But I just think it would be like a corner, you know.
yeah, I certainly wouldn't love it, but I mean, okay, so like in your projection, is this the successor to Brandon Stevens, or is he going to play in the slot?
So I think why Terrell is higher for me, because I think he could play in the slot for you right away and then be on the field, 70% of snaps his rookie year. And then the second season, it'll be the Brandon Stevens replacement. Or, if AZ Thomas, like as a 22-year-old second year, third round pick, is the third corner for a year, and then him and Terrell are the duo after Stevens is cut. That's why I really wish they gave Stevens a 1-year deal. Like his guarantees being on the roster right now, it's like kind of like why? But yeah, I wouldn't want them to do it. But those guys, it's just more about the talent and more about, I think we have to keep an open mind. Like I think the Jets, if Mansour Delane is their 6th player on the board and he's there at 16, like they're gonna take him, right? That's just how it goes.
Yeah, and like you said, I feel like I would be the most like meh about it. And obviously offensive tackle, like I just like what the hell are we doing here? Like we can't do this again.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, unless no, I don't want to imagine unless they tell us it's a guard.
It would have to be. They can't take a swing tackle.
Yeah, exactly. Like this is crazy.
Just play the jumbo package. Go down to kick out the 7 offensive linemen with Max Mitchell back out there too.
Hey, Max Mitchell, priority free agent re-signing, please. I mean, they found a role for him at least. Like you can at least be happy about that. Like he's not a starter, you know that, but 6 personnel. I saw the tweets from you yourself. The EPA king is Max Mitchell.
Yeah, like the 17 snaps he played as a jumbo offensive lineman, we were like the best offense in NFL history.
Yeah, between that and us worrying in like July about Chuks Okorafor having to play meaningful reps, and like we just get 17 games of the same offensive line, like so mundane, but like so underappreciated at the same time in such a weird season.
What's depressing is that after Braylon Allen fumbled, like they punished Max Mitchell for it. They were like, all right, we're never going back to that package again. I'm like, it worked. I'm like, you drove all the way down the field. They were like, nope, sorry, these are the rules. We can't have nice things now.
It's part of the pseudo tank they had to preserve. They had to put Max Mitchell on ice for the 2026 run. All right, somebody said it in the comments. Who the hell has Love as their 12th best? That would be BuffaloJetFan on the right-hand side. I am on the left-hand side. I have Jeremiah Love at 13. You have him at 12. This is a Jets-specific top 25, though. So I think if you rank them differently, and I could pop it up, but Jeremiah Love to me is my 3rd overall player in this class. So for the Jets, it comes in at 13 for me because I feel like there's just other options where you satiate a bigger hole in the boat because unless you're pulling out the plug on Breece Hall and creating a hole in the boat, you already kind of have that need filled. So give me somebody else at a different position before I take Jeremiah Love, even though I know he's going to be like a crazy talent. And I know you have a rule that you like to talk about. So like I feel like that applies to the Jets in this situation. So what are your thoughts on Jeremiah Love?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if it was just a big board of talent, well, we'd have tackles on here and stuff, and he'd probably be, I don't know, like between 3 and 6 at the lowest for me in terms of just like best player in the class. He'd be up there with Styles and Downs and Reese. But until the Jets make a decision with Breece Hall, like if Breece Hall doesn't want to be a Jet anymore and he leaves and Jeremiah Love falls at 16, okay, like you could take him. That's totally fine. But I don't know, like let's say Jeremiah Love gets drafted, and a really good outcome for him would be he's like the 5th or 6th best running back in the NFL. I think that would be a good outcome for him.
Yes.
Right. He's and what is Breece Hall right now? Like the 11th best running back in the NFL? Well, something like that. Top 12. Can we call him top 12?
9 to 12. 9 to 12, yeah.
Right. So is going from the 9th to 12th best running back in the NFL to going to, the 4th or 5th. Is that the best thing we could accomplish with a mid first round pick? I would say no. Now, obviously, if you think he's like LaDainian Tomlinson, then yeah, then you'd be higher. But like I think I have a similar, like very different stylistically, but similar level of talent to Genty last year. Which is like a good, like he's going to go in the top half of the first round. For a team that has a complete hole at that spot, fine. But again, Breece Hall is in the bucket to me until he's on another team of the things that we do have to work with. So I want to prioritize other stuff where we have a bunch of nobodies.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, like you can't deny that he's just going to be a great player. But
yeah,
you're what is it, the Ashton Genty rule? If you haven't made the playoffs in 2 years, you can't.
No, let's take running back in the first round. No,
yeah, it doesn't make sense. And like maybe 2027, if you had 3 first round picks, you can kind of sway me if it's like pick 28 to 32, like maybe whatever. But it's just it's tough. It's a tough sell, and you can't deny the talent. But it's a hard one. Even though Breece Hall, he's still here. We don't know what's going to happen, but I would at least just rather kick the tires with him than reset the clock. And I mean, you get 5 years out of the guy, sure, but like I think about second contract too. Like that's so important with these guys. Like you have to project out. And I know like it's so easy to say he's going to play for 10 years, but like, does a team see that for a running back? Like realistically, like that means you're paying him 2 contracts, maybe like, cause you're going to have to re-up, early on one of the contracts for sure. Like after his 3rd season, if he's balling out like LT type numbers, like he's going to want a payday after 3 years. And then you're going to get a payday in 4 more years. So now you're in age 7 to 8, seasons, and you're getting a 3rd contract. Like it's really like 10 years is so hard in the NFL, but like he would be one of the players to do it. It's just hard to project out like multiple contracts for the running back position. And we're seeing it now with the guy that we all love in Breece Hall. And I think Love is better, but it's a tough sell for me.
Yeah. Unless he's really amazing. And then I'll take it back.
Yeah, exactly. Then everything we said is everything we say is redacted from the record.
Yeah, we could just delete the stream. Like it's fine. Yeah. if he's Christian McCaffrey. But if Breece Hall, first day of free agency, Breece Hall signs with the Chiefs, like Love is going up on your board, right?
Yeah, he has to. If Breece is not on the roster, then Jeremiah Love becomes like a top 10-ish player for me, and you reshape the thing. Yeah.
He would go into a tier of like if he's at 16, probably your best option, just because of the talent of likely what's to be there. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what they do at that spot.
Yep. All right. We talked about Peter Woods a little bit. Daniel Jeremiah doesn't like him. We like him enough. He's 11 for me, 14 for you. I also have Caleb Banks on here. I don't know. Do you have Caleb Banks on your list?
He's 29.
He's 29. Okay, so he was just off your board. Okay, so to me, it's like it really just comes down to like for his size, he actually moves a lot better than I thought he would on tape. And I guess it's a little bit of bias because I watched him participate in Senior Bowl practice from like 18 inches away, and I got to just like dude, I could fit both my legs in one of his pant legs. Like he was just such a massive human being. And you throw on the tape, and he's like consistently beating double teams. He's like creating havoc in the backfield, whether it's like disrupting, the quarterback, creating a pressure, or stopping the run completely, or at least again slowing down the ball carrier in the backfield. Like I felt like he just kind of lived there for such a big player. It's just he's such a unique body type that, like, do you prioritize it all the way up here? I feel like you could get away with it if you're the Jets, but I guess having him down at 29, what are you not seeing with Caleb Banks that keeps him off your top 25?
Well, I don't love his run defense for a guy who's that big. I think I just see him as more of I see him very similar to Deion Walker last year. I think he's more athletic, but that same style of player. And Deion Walker had a phenomenal rookie season. Now, I think he did go in like the 3rd round or something like that. But in some of the analytics back that up, like his run stop rate compared to some of the other guys is very low, and he's a bit older, and he's had multiple foot injuries. That being said, I like if he might run like a 5.140 which is crazy for 340 whatever he is pounds. So
Yeah.
he's gonna do some if he tests at the combine, he's gonna do some disgusting things, and like a 6'9" wingspan with some baseball mitts for hands, and he's got juice off the line of scrimmage. So I think he's gonna be a very disruptive pass rusher. But I think I like the run defense of guys like Lee Hunter, of Christian Milner, I think is a better run defender. Peter Woods, he's a bit of an enigma. We could talk about him, and just the age and the injuries kind of bump it down, just like Mesidor. Like once a guy who's 340 pounds starts having foot issues, it's like kind of a red flag. But he's fine. And dude, they would line him up at like a wide 9 standing up, like just great.
Yeah,
I'm like, what are college coaches doing, man? That some of the alignment splits with him, but he's fun. I think I'll say this: I don't think you having, although I have him all the way at 29, I don't think you having him at 10 is crazy because of how freakish of an outlier his size and movement ability is.
Yeah. And like I said, it's a Jet specific board. I think he comes in at like 15 for me on like my overall big board. So like it makes sense at 16 if he's there. Like I would understand it if he goes earlier than 16. I just like you said, his ability for his body size is like different. And I think this week is going to be huge for him. M. Villette says Banks will raise his stock, this week. And I agree. I think he's going to be somebody that, people are talking about him, but now I think like he's going to be one of those guys that like people don't stop talking about, and maybe you get a little bit fatigued by the time we get to the draft. But if Kansas City took him, like I wouldn't be surprised, at the end of the day. Now you did mention Peter Woods. I think we need to hear the full circle of Peter Woods. We neglected going into the woods, and then when we finally did, we liked what we saw on all 22 with Peter Woods, huh?
Yeah, he is definitely, I like Peter Woods a lot, but also if someone doesn't like him, I also get it. Like he is a very acquired taste. And now they did have, so Clemson is dumb. Clemson is such a dumb team. That's why like him and TJ Parker I'm higher on, because I'm like, oh, your team is so stupid. They had him lose. So he was playing at like probably 315 his sophomore year. They have him lose like he's playing at fringe 300 pounds last year. And then what do they do with him when he's lighter? They double the amount of one tech he plays. They make him a nose tackle. It's like, that's not how that works, man. That's not how that works. So his play strength was diminished, and I don't see him as a one tech. I think he's a pure 3 tech at 310, 315. So that was part of the regression. Clemson also had, their defense was so disgusting that they had their opponents, every single quarterback they faced had a quicker time to throw than their average. Every quarterback. So it's like the Jets last year, where it's like, why are we getting sacked? It's like, well, because everyone's wide open like two seconds into the play. So I think TJ Parker and Peter Woods' production was significantly reduced by their circumstances. But I would say his motor runs hot and cold. Like you wonder about how good a shape he is in. So that's obviously something that's concerning. You can't, those bigger guys, you don't want them mailing it in. The pad level isn't always great, and he's got kind of stubby arms. But at 20 years old, he's so explosive. Like the kind of immediate wins that he gets. Honestly, some of it reminds you of Mason Graham, where it's just like, man, when like when you fire off the line, he's not obviously as good, but when you fire off the line and when his first move works, he's in the backfield so fast, so damn fast. So
yeah,
I like his traits.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, if you're getting like a Mason Graham light, that's
0 calorie Mason Graham at 16.
Yeah. What do you have? Half a sack in his rookie year? I think he faced some injuries possibly too, right? Yeah. So
we call that the Lance Armstrong line.
Oh geez. Yeah. When you got the same stat line as Lance.
I don't think Abdul Carter got there. I think he had. I don't know. I think he
See what happens when you sleep in meetings supposedly and aren't showing up to practice allegedly.
Yeah. That's so important though. Like, I think it's so. If you're gonna overlook that stuff, you better be really special. Like one guy was coming out when they were talking about Malik Neighbors, and they're like, he's kind of a prima donna, and I'm like, yeah, that's fine though. Like he's like guys like that. But in general, man, I like you could tell Armand Membu and Olufashional, like those guys are all ball, like no BS.
Yeah, like, 100%.
They've done a pretty good job of building the team that way. Like post Elijah Moore, they've done a pretty good job of doing that.
Yeah, they took their medicine on Elijah Moore, and they kind of shifted after that.
There were signs, to be fair, from him at college, like doing the fire hydrant thing in the end zone.
I was just gonna say that
there were some signs.
That was a tough look. Obviously, he kind of redeemed himself afterward, and he was one of my favorite, like in real time picks.
I thought he was gonna be so good, man.
Yeah, dude. And then he's doing backflips for Buffalo in a regular season game where they're blowing us out. Oh, the circles and the cycles of like the NFL are just crazy when it revolves around the Jets. Like everybody just gets their lick back on the Jets. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, like what do we even do? You see Cam Jordan today? Cam Jordan today, they were like, "Hey, Cam Jordan, like, how are you? How's your family doing?" And he's like, "First of all, fuck the Jets." It's like, what? Like, what? It's like that meme of like, what did he say me for? Like the 50 Cent?
Yeah, the 50 Cent meme.
Why?
Totally like
leave us alone, man.
Yeah, I'm not out here to try to get 3 wins. I'll leave that to the Jets. What does that even mean? Like, we don't
also,
try to get
the Saints.
Like 3 wins. Yeah,
come on, it's like you're the Rams or something. Like you're the Saints.
Luckily, Shug did a thing for him, but they did the Shug, and maybe the Jets can too with Ty Simpson at 33. But I digress. Getting back into this, we have Jordan Tyson, a little bit of a separation. I have him at 8, you have him at 13. But you have it's really just medicals. I totally can see that. But you have at number 9 Omar Cooper Jr. So that's 13 spots ahead of me. I had him down there with Concepcion in the last tier. So tell me a little bit about Omar Cooper Jr. and why he might be your wide receiver 3 when this is all said and done.
So the reason why I'm more confident to go out on a limb with Omar Cooper Jr. is one, nobody cares. Like everyone will forget about it if he sucks. So it's not that serious. I don't have that big enough of a platform where people are gonna, it's not like Brett Coleman when he said Patrick Mahomes is gonna suck and everyone screenshots it like to this day and replies to him with it. But yeah, man, Cooper. I think I was so high on Luther Burden last year, and I couldn't understand why he was being mocked in like the second round. And seeing his skill set play so well right away, I know he was behind a really good pass catching unit with the Bears. We got 700 scrimmage yards right away as a rookie. Same kind of thing where he's got that like a running back's lower body. He's kind of compact, but he's not small for a receiver. And in a receiver class where like this guy's slow, this guy drops passes, this guy's hurt. I think he's the most well-rounded after you get past Tate and Lemon. He's such a, like, there's really nothing he's bad at besides maybe beating press as an X receiver. So living as a Z, living in the slot. His yak ability was like historically efficient at Indiana. And there's so many plays where like, oh, he's not going to catch that. He's not going to catch that. And just makes an incredible catch. He's a really, really good blocker. Daniel Jeremiah, who did bump him up to the top 20, in his most recent ranking said he's like a prototypical LA Rams kind of receiver. So to me, he would be like, I think if he's there, if we're on the clock at 16, I think he's going to be the name that I'm hoping gets called. If we're being realistic, that like Lemon and Tate are probably gone.
Yeah, that would be super interesting. When I watched him, I did enjoy his film. He was a heavy slot guy. I think it was like 83, 85%. Couple screens here and there. He did win on this corner route where Mendoza bailed out of the pocket and threw it away to the right side. He cooked the safety or the overhang nickel corner on a corner route to the front pylon of the end zone, and he even stumbled a little bit and still had separation. And I was like, okay, this is like the fourth play I've seen of you, dude. Like, I want to see more of this. And then like 3 plays later, he won on a 10-yard rolled out and like had really good hands at the catch point and like didn't pull it into his body and like just little things like that. And I was like, okay, Omar Cooper Jr., I like this. And like his body type is more like we just talked about with Elijah Moore. Like I more sway towards those like shiftier slot guys. And I understand like you can't build your team solely of those types. You need to have like differentiating like skill sets. But we have AD Mitchell. So like go get Omar Cooper Jr. and like Garrett can still play the boundary. And then he can still come in and play like condensed or slot type roles when you need to in 12 personnel and Omar Cooper Jr. is not on the field. But like
Yeah, and he
I
did
wouldn't
play. I
mind
will
him.
add, he did play a good amount of He played a good amount of Z in 2024. Cooper
Oh,
Jr.
okay. I didn't look at his 2024 snap alignment, so that's important too. So obviously it wasn't with Fernando, so like the quarterback play was a little different. But I did like what I saw from him. Quick wins at the line of scrimmage. So it was like the in between of Concepcion and Boston. Like he had the body type of Concepcion, even though he was like more compact. Like Concepcion was slender, Cooper was like more compact, and then obviously Boston is like just bigger in general. But I felt like he won at the line of scrimmage pretty well. He did a lot of like hop steps right before he got into his break, and I don't know how well like that translates to the NFL, but like it won in college. And like I feel like when you're in the slot, not facing press a lot, it could help you. So I don't hate Omar Cooper being up here at 9, and I don't like it's kind of bold of you, but at the same time, like it's feasible. You can understand it. Like I wouldn't even be surprised if Kansas City took a playmaker and the 3 guys were gone and they decided to just take Omar Cooper Jr. as wide receiver 4 at pick 10 or 9.
My my buddy texted me and he was like, Omar Cooper Jr. is the Jerry Rice of Malachi Corley's, and I was like, damn it. I was like, oh no. I was like, man, if you made the best Malachi Corley there ever was, it would be Omar Cooper Jr. And I liked the Corley picks. Now I'm like, oh no, now I'm rethinking my life after that. But I'll stand on it. I think he's more complete. But you have to we forget that like the Yak King thing scarred us, but like Yak is a really important skill to have from a receiver. It just can't be the only thing you do.
100%. Speaking of 100%, we have 100 of you guys, over 100, 118 of you guys in the room. I really appreciate it. Oh, I missed this from Big Fell a couple minutes ago. $5 super chat from Big Fell. I appreciate it. He says, thank you, Jets Jesus, for letting me know these 2 awesome Jets analysts were on. Great stuff, DT. Not DP, Johnny Boy, and BJF. Yeah, not DP. It is certainly DT. I appreciate you, big fella, and I certainly appreciate Jets Jesus spreading the word of DT. He spreads the word of I guess his father, but he also spreads the word of DT. So I appreciate you, Jets Jesus, and once again, thank you so much, Jets Jesus, for all the graphics that you've made, both for my social media and for the show here, which we're going to get into. So, all right, Carnell Tate, you have him at 6, David Bailey at 7. I have Ruben Bain at 6. I'll get into Bain quicker because I feel like we kind of talked about these guys a lot more often. So Ruben Bain to me is just 3rd. It comes down to the arm length. And for me, it's not a personal issue. Like Bain to me is still a top like 6 player for me on my big board, my actual big board, I believe. So it's not like a big discrepancy here, but it's just tough that I think the team is going to have thresholds that he just might not meet at 30.5-inch arms. So do you really want to take like a hand in the dirt, I guess 4-3 defensive end type of player as opposed to like a more twitchy pass rush guy? So that's why I have him down at 6. I know he is your top guy, so I'll let you, I guess glaze him up at the top. But David Bailey for you at 7. What's your thought process on him?
I think I agree with the general consensus of who he's going to be as a player. My thing is still, I know people don't want to hear it, but I still think Will McDonald could be somewhat of a player in this league and have a pretty high pass rush upside, and his run defense is going to be kind of bad. But my point is, just like with Brees, Yeah, if you're going to be a 3-4, I think Will McDonald as a rush linebacker in a 3-4 could be okay for you. And I think you're going to kind of only have one of those guys.
Mhm.
So that's a spot where I'm like, we have at least something to work with. And what the role that like Reese or Bain or even Downs or Styles would play, we really have nothing. So when it's that close, it really came down to my delusions that Will McDonald could still be a player who could play, 60% of your snaps at rush outside linebacker in a 3-4 in a defense that actually has normal players and not Wojak Horseman at linebacker and, be decent. So that's what it is.
You don't think Keydron Smith helps the front end
Dude,
with his coverage abilities?
I don't even remember. Like, you could tell me any name. I'm like, yeah, sure, that guy. But then, to be clear, like Bailey is better. Bailey will be a better pro
Yeah.
than McDonald, of course. But it's
Mhm.
like, again, when I did a video about this, I said if McDonald is like out of 100, if he's a 78, and you think Bailey is like an 88, 89, whereas Bain is taking over for what Clemens was doing, and Clemens is like a 50, right? So just
Sure.
that wins over replacement level thinking for me. Maybe I'm overthinking it, but that's my logic.
No, that's completely fair. I think the jump from there is an obvious, like, almost any player we take in these ranges are going to be an upgrade of what we had at the position,
Yeah.
except for like a couple, right? Like swing tackle, but swing tackle at 2. But yeah, it is tough. Like, is that 10-point jump worth it compared to a 15 to 18-point jump somewhere else, depending
Right.
on how you value these guys. So it is definitely important. And like I said, this is not like I hate Ruben Bain. I just don't think the team is going to have thresholds that he meets. Now, perhaps, and there's some rumors that the measurement person was not very good at Miami. So like the measurements for like a lot of people are not
What if you measured them
accurate.
too long and they're actually even shorter than we think?
Well, that was like
like 28 inches.
that was immediately where the joke went, was that like it was Peter Dinklage who measured Ruben Bain's arms and they stood back to back and their arms were the same length. That was the joke on Stock Exchange. So like you go one of two ways. Maybe his arms are, closer to the threshold, or like maybe they're 28 and 3/4. Like, so it is going to be tough, but I do think like every other trait with him is totally worth it. And I have been saying, Reese or Bailey because like the 3-4, and like maybe that's, not fair to Ruben Bain because he still becomes like a 3-down player for your defense, just
Yeah.
not outside the tackle. He's a little bit more inside the tackle.
Yeah, I think that we are. I think that I understand the logic of you're saying if we're going to be a 3-4, then he becomes like a 5 tack, and that position is just not worth the number 2 overall pick. But
Mm-hmm.
I think we are overrating the 4-3 versus
Mm-hmm.
3-4 stuff because Aaron Glenn in 2023 and then the Jets last year were very, very legitimately multiple. I don't know why it's doing that. In 2025 or 2024, he was a little bit different, but he's been a very multiple front guy, and he's had like John Kaminsky was a 285-pound edge that he also liked to
Mm-hmm.
play head up on the tackle. And yeah, I just think there's going to be plenty of opportunities for him to get on the field and make an impact. And I love the third down sets of Bain and Briggs on the interior with JJ and McDonald on the outside. And I think that just Bain is a more versatile defensive piece than Bailey, and I think he's a more proven one than Reese. And I believe in the pass rush upside. That's all it comes down to. Everyone, we'd probably agree on like 95% of David Bailey. But that last part is, do you believe he has true 12 sack pass rush upside? If you don't,
Mm-hmm.
obviously you bump him down. But I do. I think the speed to power and how I think he's got a lot of good wiggle for his size, and I think he's a technician who's really kind of mastered his craft from Jason Taylor down there. So I think Ruben Bain is going to be a superstar in this league, and I don't see him as just a high floor player.
Yeah, you really can't go wrong. Like I said, it's almost like any of the three. Like there's really no wrong answer. It just depends on how the coaching staff views and differentiates their differences and what do they covet more. Like to me, you can convince me that all these guys will fit, and I'll be actually really happy if any of these edge guys are the pick. And with that, we'll jump into the last section, players 5 through 1. But I do want to talk about somebody that is not on your list first. Obviously, I have David Bailey up at 2, who we just talked about. You, for the reasons that we just talked about as well. And then you have Carnell Tate out of your list, where I have him at 4. So, why do you have Carnell at 7? Why do you hate him?
Why do I think he's trash?
Yeah, Carnell
Um,
Tate, like
so yeah,
undraftable at this point.
well, I'm at 6. I'm at 6. He's right ahead of Bailey.
Okay, 6. Sorry.
So with Tate, well, I think with Tate, I think he has such a high floor because his ball skills are genuinely elite, like
Mhm.
genuinely elite in every way. That the deep ball tracking, contested catchability, zero drops, the awareness to keep his feet in balance. Like that's gonna, and he's got the frame for it. He's got the big hands for it. So that part of his game is going to play and translate. Like I'm not really worried about it. And obviously, moves way different than the Denzel Boston type of contested catch receivers.
Mhm.
Um, to me, it's just I think he wears contact a little bit longer than you like when he's pressed,
Mhm.
and I think if you're taking a receiver really high in the draft, like if you're thinking of taking a receiver at 2, you would like them to be dynamic with the ball in their hands after the catch, and he's really not as much. So I think when we talk about the 4 phases of the route, the release, the break point, the catch point after the catch, I think the middle 2, Carnell Tate is phenomenal at. I think the
Mhm.
first one he's okay at, and the last one it's his weak point. Whereas Mekhi Lemon, now I know it's cheating because he gets to release out of the slot, but I think Mekhi Lemon is just really well balanced at all four of
Yeah.
those phases of the route. But Carnell Tate, like if a team wants to take, like genuinely, he isn't. So all the guys in my top 7, I think you could take it too. If they want to take Carnell Tate at 2 and go get an edge at 16, I'm fine with it. Yeah, I think he's so
Yep.
good at contested catches. He's so good at those digs and those overs that a lot of the ways that Tedderell McMillan was one, at
Yeah.
Arizona, right? And that played
Yep.
right away. So I like Tate. It just comes down to liking the other guys more. Really, that's all it is. He's a really good player.
Yeah, I feel like it's the same conversation we just had with the edges and how like I have Ruben Bain, but I like them all. I just like the other guys a little bit more. So let me propose this to you real quick. Would you rather have Carnell Tate at 2 and Zion Young at 16, or would you rather have Ruben Bain at 2 and Denzel Boston at 16? And I have to make it so that it's a wide receiver that you're less high on because I feel like it'd be too
Yeah,
easy.
because he's
It'd have
the
been
Cooper
too easy
Jr.
if I said Concepcion. So like I feel like you have to
Yeah,
go with like Boston.
I would do Tate and then go get Zion Young if those are my
Yeah,
options.
I like
Uh,
that too. Like I actually really like that. Not to say again the other way is not terrible either, but like
yeah,
that really is enticing. Like I'm always going to lean the tie goes to offense. So if
yeah,
you're on the fence about how you want to approach it and you're comparing like one of the edge guys versus one of the wide receivers, please just go wide receiver. And I know that's opposite of what my board says here, but that's because I'm predicting again for the Jets, I think they're going to lean edge. The betting odds favorites are edge. You have Bain at 1, Reese at 2. I have Reese at 1, Bailey at 2. And it makes sense because they're going to fill a need. And I have Mackay at 5. You have him at 4. So like they're right there. And
yeah.
like any of these guys, like we're splitting hairs at this point. So I think to me, if you want to lean wide receiver, it's fine. I just don't think they are going to lean wide receiver. That's ultimately how we get to these rankings.
Yeah, I would be genuinely shocked. I think that I would be less surprised if they took Caleb Downs than if they took a receiver. I really don't think they're going to take a receiver at 2. I'd be
Yeah, I
fine
would.
if they
Yeah.
did. I just don't think they're going to.
Yeah, like predictively, I feel like we're pretty spot on. Like I have 2 edge, then safety, then a wide receiver. Like I actually feel like that's like where their thinking is. They want to load up on defense at 2 because maybe there's just more offensive options at 16, or they could even trade up to 8. I know that's been floated out there. I've done a mock draft where I came back up to like 8 with the Saints and got Makai Lemon, and you come away with one of the edge guys or Caleb Downs and Makai Lemon or Carnell Tate, whoever falls to 8. So it's like I'm really, intrigued by how the Jets are going to operate. But I would like, what are your thoughts in terms of like offense twice, defense twice, one of each? I would rather one of each or 2 offensive guys before I want 2 defensive guys at 2 and 16.
So I guess, but the 2 offensive guys, if it's not a quarterback, I guess you're talking about like a receiver and then like Vega.
It'd probably be Vega Ioane, yeah.
That's fine to me. So here's the I don't I think that of the first 4 picks, I think at least 2 of them need to be probably defense.
Yeah,
And if they
yes,
were
yeah.
if they're not going to take a quarterback, and if they're going to go with a 3 of them being one side and the other one being the other, I would probably want 3 defense and a receiver, to be honest, because look, from a personal standpoint, I think the offense is pretty convincingly less far away. The problem is they don't have a quarterback, so it's like we're a car with no engine. So I understand that, but
Mhm.
if you look at the things you need for an offense outside of quarterback, which we're not taking anyway, so it's not really in the discussion. You got 2 tackles, you got a wide receiver 1. Like those are the outside of quarterback. Those are the kind of the most important spots
Mhm.
on defense. Like, what is the counterpart of Olu, Membu, and Garrett on defense? It's not. There's nothing really close. Like you hoped it would have been Jermaine and Will, but they're not. So I
Right.
think to me, like your tackle combo on offense that you already have, you need a defensive player that keeps offensive coordinators up at night. Like if you're
Mhm.
going to be a real team, you need somebody like that. You know, whether you think it's Bailey, it's Reese, it's Bain. Every good team has one of those dudes.
Yep.
So I think that's why I think pick 2, probably the best thing they can do is to get one of those dudes. And then yeah, obviously still get a receiver. Like if they don't draft a receiver within one of their first 4 picks and they don't really sign like a legit starter, I think that would be a bummer. But yeah, I think it's a necessary ingredient on defense that they don't have.
No, yeah, for sure. Like if they took an edge at 2, I would just hope that like and again, I like these players, but like I just wouldn't want like a defensive tackle at 16. Like I would actually much prefer a wide receiver. Obviously, you can then go offense twice at 33 and 44, but like I feel like coming away with 2 defensive players in this draft, like sure, maybe the defense is loaded, but I feel like the depth on defense is much stronger than the offensive depth in this class. So like if you
Yeah,
are in a position where Vega is on the board at 16, you have to think about it. Now, if somebody slips to you on defense, like Sonny Styles, perhaps, right, and you go
right.
edge at 2 and then Sonny at 16, yeah, of course, because you're getting extreme value. But I feel like to not, look at offense in a league where like you were 32nd in passing offense from week 6 on, you bottomed out in week 6 against, I
That
think it was
sounds bad.
Miami. Yeah, against Miami, and then you just never got off the mat again. So it's like you have to figure out ways to strengthen that, even if we don't have the quarterback position perfectly solidified. So I think we're saying the same thing, but possibly just have different players at these positions. Like you have Bain and I have Reese at 1.
Yeah, I think if the best thing they could do with both picks is edge at 2 and a receiver that they like is there at 16. And that's why I
Mhm.
still think that to me, if they take an edge at pick 2, I'm looking at who's falling, and I would look to come up for Lemon, Tate, or even Styles or Downs. Like if it's just left
Yeah,
to if it's one of them is left, because if there's a few of them left for unforeseen reasons, they just kind of wait it out.
you
But
risk it. Yeah.
if there's one of them left at pick, 11 or 12, I'm calling and hey, you can have 44, give us back a 4th or 5th round pick, whatever.
Mhm.
Particularly one of the receivers. Like if you can come away with a Ruben Bain and then trade up, 4 or 5 spots and get Makai Lemon, like it's just I know we have all these holes, but man, those are 2 guys who really, really solve, like legitimately solve positions for you. Not
Mhm.
like Chris Brazel or Elijah Stroud or like milling about in there with AD Mitchell. Like
And like you said, you're not trading a ton of
Plumlee
picks to
and
do it. Like you're still having
right.
like we have 12 picks right now. Like you can afford to give like one extra pick away, pick 10 to 11 players in this draft class and come away with I think even it was you who said it. I know there's just so much like so many of us content guys, we have so many sayings, but like come away with 2 that you love and 1 that you like rather than 1 that you love and 3 that you like in this
Yeah,
draft class. So like you
I agree.
absolutely have to do that. Real quick super chat, Lou B. $2. I appreciate you, Lou B. Pride of Long Island, knows every street. He says, "What's the most we can get back in a trade back to 7 max?" I'll let you answer this first as I pull up the trade chart for points.
If we trade back to 7?
Yeah, like what's the most we can get in a
Um,
return?
the most you could hope for would probably be next year's 1 because it's not for a
Mhm.
quarterback, so it's I know. Well, I guess the Travis Hunter trade was pretty good precedent. Like they gave up a one and then like some other stuff, but I don't know who's coming up and for who. Now I would be interested in trading down. Even I love Ruben Bain so much, but I would take a trade down and risk losing him because the gap between him and some of the other guys would be worth getting another pick. And then you have so much more ammunition where you could really comfortably come up and get that receiver. So yeah, I would like a trade down
Mhm.
to 7, take Bailey. Actually, at that point, if we're doing it at that point, I would take Tate or Lemon at 7. And
Yeah.
then I would take, you know what I would do? I would take Taylor Lemon at 7. I would take Vega at 16, and then you have all that capital for the rest of it to fix your defense.
Yeah. No, I actually really like that idea.
So
Like
I
you
do.
said, it's
This
hard to
offense
find.
done. Now, Aaron Glenn, you got 11 more picks to fix your defense, bro.
Seriously, yeah. If you can't figure it out with 11 picks on defense and obviously free agent dollars that are going to count into this, the mathematical answer that I will give: the Jets' number 2 pick is worth 717 points on the Rich Hill trade chart, and Washington's number 7 pick is worth 426 points. That's a difference of 291 points. Washington doesn't even own a second round pick, and
Poverty.
which is crazy considering how old their roster is.
Yeah.
But for context, 33rd pick, the first one in the second round, is worth 180. So they weren't even getting close with their second round pick. So, like you said, it's probably going to cost them a future 1, and their 3 this year is worth 68 points. So depending on how much their future 1 is worth, and they're viewed as a round later if you trade them a year early, right? I feel like that's like the saying is like the value of them goes down if you trade them like too early, right? So the second round pick, it would have to be a first round pick, excuse me, but like then you're adding in this year's third round pick and maybe even like something else. So now you're really like getting a haul of picks. It's hard to envision a team coming up for somebody unless maybe Dan Quinn is on more of a hot seat than Aaron Glenn is, and he really wants to get a defensive guy for his system. So who knows? With that, I know we're over the hour 10 mark, and I try to keep these under an hour and a half. So with that, I do want to throw up this free agency build a board. We've all seen these styles before. It's $15 to spend. You have to pick one from every column. This is free agency edition, external free agents. So we have quarterback, we have wide receiver, defensive line, linebacker, and safety. I tried to do my best here. Obviously, it's not perfect science. But once again, thank you to Jets Jesus. If you're still in the chat, thank you so much, bro. This is a perfect graphic. I love the layout of it all, and it worked really well, both on social media and now here on the show. So I'll give you guys a couple minutes in the chat to discuss and give your answers. You have to pick one from every column. So like you have to spend all 15 of your dollars essentially. You could, finesse it and have a dollar left over, but you can't spend it on a 6th player. So I just advise spending all 15. I'll give mine while you're thinking as well, Kev. So I want to go Kirk Cousins for $4, Romeo Dobbs for $1, so that's 5. I really feel like Jalen Phillips for $5 is worth it. I feel like, the injuries aside, he's such a special talent. Now, obviously, he needs to stay healthy. That's a huge thing. But I'll take him. So I'm up to $10. Alex Anzalone, just because it's pretty basic and,
Yeah.
it's a seamless fit. And then I'll take Nick Cross, the $3 safety from the Indianapolis Colts. I believe Frank Reich was the coach of the Colts when he was originally drafted. So there is a little bit of familiarity there. So Nick Cross is my $3 safety. So Kirk Cousins, Romeo Dobbs, Jalen Phillips, Alex Anzalone, and Nick Cross. What are you thinking?
Okay, I'm gonna work backwards. I'm gonna spend big money. I want Cam Curl and Devin Lloyd. Give me those two. Give me legitimate difference makers.
I like this
because Kwity Paye is a steal at $2.
Yes,
because he's a solid 3-down edge.
Okay.
Romeo Dobbs is great value at $1.
Okay.
And then that leaves me Marcus Mariota, who I feel like I think there's a world in which every single quarterback on that tier is kind of in the same bucket next year.
Okay.
Obviously Malik Willis will get more money. So yeah, I'll go Marcus Mariota, Romeo Dobbs, Kwity Paye, Devin Lloyd, Cam Curl.
Kwity Paye, Devin Lloyd, and Cam Curl. Okay, I'm typing it out in the chat. I want everybody else to give their votes as well on who they think is better. I think there's a case that yours is great. Obviously, you turned around the defense a lot better than I did. I added a pass rusher. You added a crazy good linebacker and safety.
It depends on how much better you think Kirk Cousins is than Mariota. Cousins,
yeah,
he can be. Like, there's a chance he has one more left in him, where he could be like the 17th or 18th best quarterback in the league.
Yep.
He's probably my favorite quarterback option, like if he's cut, of the veterans. Cousins.
Which he will be on March 11th. They're gonna cut him, and that's why I had to put Kyler Murray at the $3 tier, because I had to make it enticing, because Kyler Murray is like a $4 or $5 quarterback. Like, obviously, I think talent wise it would make sense, but I had to entice it because Kyler Murray, when he's cut and you can negotiate the contract you want to give him, and not the $59 million that he's on the hook for immediately after signing him. Like, on March 11th, I think 19.5 for next year gets guaranteed, as well as all of this year.
I think Kyler can go somewhere and be fine. I just think it wouldn't be with the Jets. I think Kyler has a chance to have a redemption arc. I wish I really believed that he loved ball. I think there's that, because talent-wise, he's the most talented guy on the list.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. So I had to weigh it out. Like, okay, $3 tier because everything else stinks, but like you can still make a really good lineup with the $3 tier. Like, honestly, if you just went across the $3 line, Kyler, Wandale, Caleb Vaughn, DeMario, Nick Cross, like, that's not bad at all. Like, I feel like it's more just to show, like, there's so many different variables, so many different options, and so many different thought processes, and we can all, find a good way to improve the team. So before we get out of here, I see a lot of people added their own in as well.
Let me see what the chat is cooking up here.
Yeah, so we'll share. Boss Girl, Lloyd, Cousins, Cross, Anzalone, and Dobbs. Okay, so you went value at linebacker. A lot of people are taking Dobbs, I've noticed. I like Lloyd and Cousins. That's a big 2. Like, if they come away with 2 really big free agents like that, I think that's a strong start compared to last year specifically.
Even Trubisky for $1, like, I don't know how much.
Dude, if he could play the Jets
how much
twice,
worse is he going to be than the rest of the guys? Like,
I
think what they're going to do is like what the Giants did. I think they're going to sign 2. I think they're going to sign like a Mariota and a Trubisky, like 2 Jags, and I don't think they're going to go like Malik Willis or Kyler, or give away a pick to charity for like Tanner McKee or whatever. I think they're going to sign. I think they might, if there were 2 Marcus Mariotas, I think they would sign both of them.
That's hilarious. You're 100% right. I'd rather sign 2 of them than trade for 1, because like I don't want to give up an asset for, like, when you have Marcus Mariota. So I think the difference starts at like Kirk Cousins and Malik Willis. Like, I think there's like a 3-win difference between Kirk Cousins and Marcus Mariota. Like, if Mariota gets us to 4, I think Kirk could get us to 7. If all the other pieces, yeah, I do. I think so. Like, I think Mariota had like 2 wins last year, and like that's an all-in Commanders team. And that's not good. I'm not using wins as a quarterback stat. I think Kirk was like 5-3 over his 8 games, so it wasn't special either. But like, I think it is like a 2 or 3 game difference. So like, if he can get us 4, I think Kirk could get us 6, possibly 7, and like maybe with things fall our way. And the faith between Frank Reich and Kirk Cousins is strong enough that the football gods appreciate us, and we get 8 or 9 wins. Like,
you should have you like get $1 if you take Derek Carr as your quarterback.
I was gonna say, you get refunded an extra $1. Yeah,
it's funny how he's ironically become. I'm like, guys, Derek Carr isn't that much worse than who we're gonna get. Like, I mean, he's obviously it would be uninspiring, but.
I've never been a fan of Derek Carr at all, but it is what it is. All right, back to some of these. Tank for Ty made a math error, so he got bumped down the line. I have to find his new one. He said, "My math sucked. Hopefully, your quarterback evaluations don't suck either, because I'm kind of falling for Ty Simpson here." But he says Kirk Cousins, Christian Kirk. So Kirk and Kirk, we like that. What is that? That's $6. Chason, you're up to 9. Walker, 13, and Ronnie Hickman for 2. Okay. I don't love Ronnie Hickman or Brian Cook as the safeties, and I feel like there's a bit of a drop off here at safety. Like there's clear tiers here, but I can't blame it. I mean, I like Kirk Cousins, I like Christian Kirk. You're adding to the offense, and I'm a big fan of Quay Walker. If they can't get Devin Lloyd, give me a lot of Quay Walker.
Yeah, I'm not as familiar with him, but I think he kind of was disappointing early, but then figured it out as a linebacker. So that's cool. Obviously, Malik Willis is the mystery box. And Eli asked the question that neither one of us had Mendoza in our top 25. We were assuming that Mendoza is gonna be the number one pick, so we didn't rank him, and then we didn't rank offensive tackles. If the Raiders don't take Mendoza, he'd be number one for me. Not because he's the best player, but positional value. I think he could be a competent starting quarterback, and that's just worth more than anything else. So he would be my number one.
Yeah, and I heard Daniel Jeremiah say that he is the number one player in the class, and I disagree with that. So I get it, like the positional value and everything bakes in at some point in your rankings, but like he's not the best player in the class. And a lot of people like are even talking about him as like the best prospect since Joe Burrow. I'm like, I don't even know if he's the best prospect since Cam Ward. So like we got to pump the brakes a little bit here. I think Fernando's getting a little overrated. Again, I would love it if the Raiders did a thing and passed on him and to kick the tires on Kyler Murray or something like that. So it is interesting that I don't think Fernando's the best player, but yeah, he would be number one, of course. All right, Ricky New York Live. Appreciate you tuning in, bro. I'll be on your show Saturday night. I'll be smoking and debating with Ricky New York Live. He says Malik Willis, Reed Blankenship, Nick Cross. Whoa, you took two safeties. All right. Leave it to the stoner to throw me off. All right, $12 anyway. Two more for Anzalone and one more for Dobbs. All right, you at least spent $15. You went every row instead of every column. I appreciate it, Ricky. But yeah, I think that's fine too. Double up on safety. We need safety help. If you're not going to draft one, at least sign one good one and like one B tier. So I'm cool with that. Big fella says Lloyd, Cousins, Robinson, Pay, and Cook is okay. Wandale. So 3, 4, 9.
Yeah, Dobbs and Pay are really good value.
Yeah. I thought when I was like typing this all out, I was like, a lot of people are going to take Dobbs. A lot of people are going to take Kwity Paye. I thought more people would take Demario Davis, but I like that there's a lot more variance at the linebacker position. Some people are swinging high like you did, and then some people are taking more value like Anzalone. I like that it's kind of been all over. Let's see. M. Villette says, ooh, we got a Trubisky, Pierce, so $5. Lloyd, $10. Blankenship, 14. Cook, $1. Okay, so you took two safeties as well. What'd you skip out on? D-line, that's okay. At least you spent all $15. But again, I'd be fine if they doubled up on safety. Of all the positions here, I would take that. I guess George Pickens probably shouldn't be on here because they're looking to franchise tag him, but that's fine too.
Yeah, and George Pickens on the Jets would just be crashing out by like week 4, so you have to like bake that into it.
Oh yeah, dude, he would literally go back to George Pickens, where he was like fighting people on the sidelines. Like it would not be fun. All right, Indy Jets, shout out to you, man. I hope you're feeling well. He says Cousins, Lloyd, Curl, Dobbs, and draft Tate. All right, so you forgot a player. Who'd you forget? A linebacker? No, you got a linebacker. What'd you forget? Oh, defensive lineman. And you drafted Tate. All right, well, I can't be mad at drafting Tate and acquiring Romeo Dobbs. I don't think Dobbs is going to command a ton on the open market. Like comparatively, like AAV, he's going to be 5th on this list. Like all these guys are going to come in higher. So like you might be able to get him on like a pretty.
I think you get more than Christian Kirk just because of age.
Okay.
I think he gets similar to Wan'Dale Robinson, but yeah, Pickens and Pierce will get more than him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, Wan'Dale, 1,000-yard receiver, man.
Wan'Dale is like the classic receiver who's going to get egregiously overpaid this year. I kind of like him too.
He's gonna.
If we do it, I won't hate it. We're gonna overpay somebody. We're gonna overpay Sherwood and Stevens. I don't care if it's a receiver.
Yeah, but he's gonna go for like 15. He went for 1,000 yards. Now he's gonna go for like 650 if he comes to the Jets. Like it's gonna be like a historic drop off.
Nick Shine says we're not getting any. I think. Yeah, I mean that. Well, you'd have to set the line at like 0.5. Like if we get any of these guys.
Yeah. Right? Well, we're gonna get. Dude, okay, there's 25 people on this list. Over, under 2.5?
Well, yeah, because we're getting Mitch Trubisky and Marcus Mariota. We already decided, so.
Oh, yeah, we're getting two from,
So it
from
actually
one
starts at
column.
2.
Oh
It
my god,
starts at
could you imagine if they get like Kirk Cousins and Mariota and they just like try to do that? That'd be crazy.
I think they're gonna do something like that. I
They
forgot
might.
Kwity
No,
Paye was
they
a free
should.
agent. I like Kwity Paye because
I
he's
like.
like,
Yeah.
if the edge they take at 16 turns into Kwity Paye, like it wouldn't be the worst. Is Kwity Paye not decent, or am I thinking of? I thought
Dude,
he was
he's
okay.
solid. He's a solid player. I liked him coming out of college too, but like it was kind of like Quay Walker. Like it started slow, but then it came on pretty strong for him in the last couple seasons, I think.
Yeah, he had okay, he's kind of mid. Well, in 2024, he had 8 sacks, 40 pressures. His run defense looks pretty good. Yeah, I guess if like the player you took at like pick 33, like an edge of 33 turned into him, he'd be pretty good. So
Yeah.
if you could, like, he'd be a starter.
All right, Black Gypsy 420. He says Trubisky, Pierce, Phillips, Anzalone, and Downs. Okay, so he skipped all the safeties and went Downs. I guess I don't hate that either. I like Jalen Phillips a lot, and I mean Alec Pierce. That'd be a lot of fun too in this offense. I think there's ways to have fun on offense in free agency before getting to the draft. That like if you don't have to draft a guy at 2 at wide receiver because you got like Romeo Doubs and you can wait till 16, 33, or 44 to get a wide receiver, I'm okay with that too. So I think this whole exercise was more to prove that there's so many different ways we can go. And like Nick Shine said in his membership super chat, I appreciate you, Nick. He says we don't get any. I think we'll get at least a couple of them, right? So with that, Buffalo, what you got going on your channel? Plug it on the way out.
All the mock drafts were the worst. Actually, I haven't really done a lot of mock drafts. I'll have to rip a mock draft soon. I gotta fix the Jets franchise video coming soon, where I literally do sign Mariota and Trubisky, because I tried to make it like what is actually going to happen. I'm like, let's put the Linderbaum and Pierce aside. Let's roll up our sleeves and face like the reality of what's going to happen. So I do that. But yeah, talking Jets, you guys know how it is, and we'll be back next Monday.
Yes, we'll be back next Monday talking all things combine, all the overreactions and proper reactions on Kev's channel. So check us out at BuffaloJetFan. That is him. I am DTereman. Until next time, let's go Jets.